What's up YouTube, and welcome to a part 2 of my Jackpot design, where in this particular tutorial we're going to go ahead and animate it, creating this really cool animation that you can see on the screen now. So of course you're going to need to create the design first, so I'll leave a link to part 1 in the description down below if you haven't already. But if you've already got it, we've got everything we need and we can go ahead and get started on the animation. So with all that said, let's get started. So of course now you should already have the original design. Now one thing I recommend you do is if you back out of your canvas for a second from part 1, then I recommend you swipe on your canvas to the left and duplicate it. That way you can keep the original with its original sort of designing aspect, and then we can have a backup, because once we open up the duplicate we're going to go ahead and flatten a lot of the layers. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our layers and we're going to keep a few things that we need to animate, and the rest we can just simply pinch all of them together. So let's start from the very top. I'll get rid of my guide. And the first one we want to get rid of is the highlights that we made right at the end of the tutorial, which help it glow. They look good on the still, but not in the animation. So we're going to swipe that to the left and delete it. We then have everything from the white reels here, so the actual dials in the middle, up to the 7s at the top. And we're going to go ahead and pinch all of those together. And then if we take a look at what we've got left, if we go ahead and go straight down to the diamond here and pinch from the 7 at the top all the way down, we'll compress all those layers together. We've then got a little bit of glow that was just in the background. That can then also be pinched up to the top layer. And we're going to leave the sort of spinny sort of points in the background. Then what we're going to do is we're going to swipe on all 3 by swiping from left to right on the opposite layers and group them together. Now each group that we make is going to be a frame of our animation. So if we now go up to our actions, and we turn on the animation assist under canvas, you'll see here at the bottom we have 1 frame. So this here is your timeline. So this will show you all the frames you've got for your design. So the first one we have here is the first group we've got. So if we actually go up to our layers and swipe that group to the left and duplicate it, you'll see straight away we get an extra frame. So we need to duplicate this group 3 times. So we'll swipe this one to the left and duplicate it again. And now we've got 3 frames. This is all we need for today's design. And the bottom one, let's tap on it, let's rename it, and let's call it frame 1. Let's rename the middle one, frame 2. And let's rename the top one as well, frame 3. Now that's optional, but it will keep things nice and easy and you'll know what I'm referring to. So let's turn off frame 3 and 2, and let's work on frame 1. So if we open this up, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the actual group by tapping on this layer here, tap on the plus, and let's change the layer effect from normal to add. And then if we go to our colors, the first color we want to grab is this one here in the top left of the palette. So this is our sort of gold color. And then we're going to go ahead and go to our brush library, and under the luminance section for you, it will have in there the flare, and the flare is currently set to 12%. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use this flare to brighten up some of the lights here at the top. So the first one we'll use is this one here. You want to tap so that the flare just lands in the center. So you may just have to adapt it a few times, such as like I did. And then we're going to go ahead and skip 2 and then place another flare. So there we go. And then we're going to skip 2 again and place another flare. So because we have 3 frames, what I'm going to do is we move these down, and these 2 here are going to basically be frame 2 and frame 3. So we'll skip these 2, pop another flare here, and then this would be skipped. This one here that's just underneath would be skipped, and you'd probably just get a little bit of light from this one here. And then what we'll do is we'll mirror it on the opposite side. So we'll go 1, 2 and place our little flare. We'll go 1, 2 and place a little flare, 1, 2 and another one, and 1, 2. And so this one here we could get away with brightening up again. So that is frame 1 of those lights done. And we'll go ahead and adjust them as we go. The other pieces that we're going to go ahead and animate are the slots and also the dials. So we're going to go to our colors and we're going to grab this pink here in the middle of the 4th column from the right. We're going to go to our brush library and we're going to go to airbrushing and the soft brush. And we're going to make our brush size roughly around about 6 or 7%. And the first frame we want to go ahead and do is highlight the 2 S's on either side. So we're just going to, in a circular motion, go around them, brightening them up, and then go round on the other one too. So round in a circular motion and push the light a little bit off to the left. So you can see there they've become a lot brighter. And then they would also cast a bit more of a lighting reflection down underneath as well. So we're just going to sort of brighten up onto the dial just a little bit more, and brighten up onto the dial again a little bit more. Now, as I mentioned, we are also going to animate the dials, and because we've got 3 frames, we're going to go from left to right. So we're going to grab our colors and we're going to double tap in the top left hand corner to select white. And then all we're going to do is in this area here, either side of the 7, we're just going to brighten this up and brighten this up again. A little something like this. It will look like it's really blown out, and that's what we want. We want it to be nice and bright because it needs to have a lot of contrast to these two here. And there we go. We've added in all the light work that we need for frame 1. Let's move on to frame 2. So if we go to our layers, we can collapse frame 1 down. We can turn off the group and we can turn on frame 2 for a second. Inside frame 2, let's open up that group and repeat the similar steps. So we're going to tap on the graphic in the first layer in the group, create a new layer above it, change its layer option from normal to add, and let's go to our colors again and grab this gold here in the top left of the palette. Then let's go to our brush library, and under luminance, we're going to use the flare again. And we now know we need to add it to the next one in the sequence, which is going to be these 2 on either side. So again, we just want to drop that flare nicely on the bulb. So sometimes it's a little bit off. And then the same rule applies. We leave 2 and we pop a flare down. So add in a flare there, leave 2, pop in a flare down, leave 2 and pop a flare down. 1, 2 would somewhat be here, so it would be the bottom one. So we're actually not going to add anything else on that side. We're just going to repeat the same rule on the opposite side. So let's go 1, 2, pop a flare, 1, 2, pop a flare, and 1, 2, pop a flare. That's all the top lights done. Let's move on to slots again. So we go to our colors and we grab this pink here in the middle of the 4th column from the right. Change your brush. We'll go back to airbrushing and the soft brush. And we're going to do the L and the T now. So we're just going to go around in a circular motion on the L, around in a circular motion on the T. And then just like before, we'll just very lightly just gloss in some much brighter pink here on top of the dials underneath. Then we're going to go to our colors and double tap in the top left hand corner to select white. And then this middle dial, we're just going to brighten this up on either side of the 7, just brightening it up so that we can make it look like it is the brightest dial here. And there we go, that is frame 2 done. So let's repeat the same steps one more time for the top frame. So we'll collapse that group down and we can turn it off. We can go up to frame 3 at the top, turn it on and open the group. Tap on the graphic and create a new layer. Change its layer effect from normal. Let's change it to add again. And we're going to go to our colors. We're going to grab gold in the top left of the palette. And we're going to go back to our brushes. We're going to go to luminance and change it back to the flare. And then we repeat the same rules again. So we started here. Last frame was here. So we need to go just here. So we're just going to pop our flare down. And then pop a flare down on the opposite side and go from there. 1, 2, pop a flare. 1, 2. Pop a flare. 1, 2. You can't really add one here because the L's in the way, and it would be 1, 2. So we're going to again leave the bottom area. Let's just reflect this on the opposite side. So 1, 2, and again we're going to pop one just here. 1, 2, pop one just here, and again we're just going to leave that as is because everything else is hidden. Let's then go to our colors and grab the pink in the middle of the column from the right hand side, the 4th column from the right. Go back to your brush library and grab airbrushing and the soft brush. And then we're just going to brighten up the O. So in a circular motion, let's brighten this up and just underneath again. Very lightly, I'm just creating like a trail. It just runs down onto the 7 there. And then the final 7 on the right, let's go to our colors. Double tap in the top left hand corner to select white. And then we're just going to brighten up the dial on either side, brightening it up around the 7. So there's nice bright lights inside. Now there is actually one extra animation we want to do, and it's just regarding these sort of lines in the background. So we're going to go ahead and go to that layer. We're going to go into frame 3 here. And this layer here, we kept it separate on purpose. So this is the lines in the background. We're going to tap on its blending option here. And I just want to reduce this down. I'm going to drop it down to 30%, or 33 to be precise. And then we're going to go ahead and let's open up frame 2. Turn that on as well, and we're going to change the opacity of the lines in this one, and we're going to drop it down to 66. Or near enough. And then when we go ahead and collapse that frame down, we need to go ahead now and turn on all 3 frames, and you'll see all 3 now appear in the little animation assist at the bottom. So what can you now do with the animation and of the frames that you've made? If we go to settings, you've got a few different options here. Loop will go ahead, and if we hit play, we'll continue to loop all the way around your frame. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in that order. If we change the settings and we go to ping pong, it's going to go ahead and go backwards through your design once it gets to the end of your frame. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, and backwards and forwards. So if we hit play, you'll see in the middle here that this little bit of lighting is going backwards and forwards, and likewise in the slots as well. And then the other option is one shot, but that's just going to run through all your 3 frames and then stop. So we don't want that one. Now I'm going to leave mine on ping pong, and then we can adjust the frames per second. So the faster you make this by increasing the frames per second, it's going to go quite nuts like that. But then you can lower the frames per second down to say 1 or 2, and that'll really slow it down. Now we do have 3 frames, so that would work out the nicest way in terms of 3 per second. But I'm going to go ahead and increase that up to 4. I just want to make it a little bit quicker than that. And then you have your animation. So now you're probably wondering, how do I get this animation from Procreate over to say Instagram, for example? So the first thing we need to do is go up to our actions. And if we go to the share option here, we're going to go ahead and use the option of animated MP4. When you tap on this, you'll then get a little menu that just shows you what your animation is going to look like. And if you hit export, on this screen here, you'll then get the options of what it is you want to do with it. Now you can save this video and then send it to your device. But if you already have a device, you can go ahead and airdrop it straight to your iPhone. Now I'm going to show you on the screen now how you would go about doing that with a little screen recording from Instagram. So when you go to create a reel, you would then select the reel option, and then in the corner you can select from your gallery. And if you select from the gallery the 1-second video that we created, and then here it will add it to your reel, you can then go back in and add it again and again and again until you create a length of duration that you're happy with, and then you can proceed there to the rest of your editing. So there you go. So I hope you enjoyed this animation tutorial. As always, be sure to share your designs with me over on Instagram. Make sure you tag me in them so I can see what it is you came up with. And as always, a massive shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. If you want your name featured in videos, early access to tutorials, and 3 exclusive tutorials added into your account every single month, hit the link in the description down below and come and show your support. And if you're interested in today's equipment list, I'm using the Sketchboard Pro. You can always use code JOELCREATE to get yourself a nice 10% off, or otherwise I'm using a Ghost paper screen cover by Upper. So with all that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.